to the Bulu Podcast Box Talks.
Welcome back.
Welcome
if you were
back.
with us before.
Are we doing two? Yeah, I don't even know how it works.
Yeah, this is for the
anymore.
live stream.
You guys think I read? Come on. I'm Paul Jarrett, CEO and co-founder of Bulu, and we do a lot of subscription box fulfillment, and we want the show to talk about subscription boxes and all those fun little pieces of knowledge. And who the hell are you?
I'm Stephanie Jarrett. I'm your wife. Remember me?
Should that be our intro to people of like, who the hell are you?
Who the hell are you? Yeah, so if you were with us the first time, we just got done speaking with Matthew
Arvalo?
I don't want to say it.
Did I say it
was
right?
making
Arvalo?
you say it.
Yeah.
Arvalo.
Yeah.
Yes. Who is now running Pinfinity, formerly Loot Crate, previously Loot Crate, not formerly.
Well,
previously
Pinfinity's new Loot
Yes.
Crate. He was the co-founder of.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we had a good talk. That was fun.
Yeah.
So much fun. We're going to do it again with a new guest.
Yeah. It's kind of like the opposite in that we went from like LA, big sexy brands, all this shiny stuff. And then now we're talking about like the meat and potatoes execution part of it,
That's right.
So I think that's a cool juxtaposition.
I
Look
mean,
at
but
me
I
using
find
big
that
words.
part sexy too.
Nothing sexier than boxes.
Our next guest.
There is nothing sexier than our next guest. Let's bring him on. Ladies and gentlemen, Adam Choate of Bulu. Somebody I consider, keep his ass on mute. Keep his ass on mute. Somebody I consider one of our, really kind of third co-founders of this whole shenanigan. I often don't encourage our team at all to talk and use the word families, but he does feel like my brother from another mother. I wish I had somebody like Uncle Dole in my life. So we're even talking about him, Uncle Dole today. Right? Did I say it right? Dole? That's right.
You got it.
All right. Well, Adam, no pressure because we get to edit this whole thing and you're not live and there's nobody watching right now. But thank you for letting us force you on the show. I know this isn't your shtick, but I think we're at a point now, 8-9 years in, almost a decade in, guys. Oh my God. Here we are back in a room going, how are we going to do this once again with the podcast? And I think we just have so much things that we've learned along the way and so much knowledge that we're unaware of. And I always see, folks from our team talking to other companies and these companies, massive companies like Disney and Clorox, they get off the phone, they email, they're like, you guys know so much. And we're like, we still feel like we're figuring it out. So it's awesome to have you on and share some of that knowledge. So Adam, why don't you, I want to kind of use the new, who the hell are you as an intro, but I think that's a little aggressive, but I think with rude. You, it's kind of okay, right?
Little rude.
You want to tell our giant, massive audience, who the hell you are? What do you do? Why are you here?
Why am I here? I thought you could just do an intro for 45 minutes and I wouldn't have to talk. So
that is very possible.
Yeah, I thought we might get
Adam Coltrane Choate, born in Tennessee, Crab Orchard, Tennessee.
There you go. Hopefully, they don't have computers there yet, so we're probably okay with them not knowing. Moved to Nebraska 12 years ago and have been for a job and then left and then have been.
Where'd you work?
Nebraska Book Company.
What the hell did they do?
They sell books.
Are those still a thing?
Barely, but yeah. So my experience there was selling lots of books one at a time, and the completely opposite of what you try to do in the subscription box world. From an operation standpoint, is definitely a little different. Have been with Bulu since day one plus a couple of days, so somewhere along there.
Yep.
Yeah, and we've
April 12th, 2012.
We figured it all out together, and I have we try not to tell people this, but I've probably done every job at Bulu there is Uh,
At some point.
yeah, some.
Yeah.
We got an HR finger wag comment already.
I think that
Adam was
in
HR.
reference to he was HR for in the early days.
Oh, I'm sure it's a reference to me. Are we past 5 yet? Can I say whatever I want?
Yeah.
Let's see. CFO, check. Developer, check. COO, check. El Presidente, check. HR, probably something, check. Customer service, check. Probably a temporary CEO when we'd flee the country for a couple of weeks, check. Let's see. Marketing, you had your own blog going at one point. We'll just throw that as a check. Sales, securing sales.
Probably not.
I think I had you.
We might have finally got to one. Graphic design, maybe.
I think you have.
No graphic design because they won't let me use crayons.
So we have a position that's open, Adam, and we think you have the skill set. Chief Crayon Officer. I think we did our crayon thing and we're done with it, right?
Yeah. Well, Adam, what do you do? What do you do now, today, currently?
Today, I tell people in the outside world that I work at a warehouse, but in truth, I manage the day-to-day operations of our fulfillment center.
Yes.
With various number of people and projects going on at any given time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adam is being humble, which I expect the entire time. But he pretty much runs all of the fulfillment, logistics, warehouse operations. So gets a lot of help from the team, like we all do.
I have personally shipped millions and millions and millions of boxes there. Is that better?
Yeah, there you go. That's perfect. I love it. And how many did you start at, Adam?
We won 0.
And how many did you think you were going to do, Adam?
Probably less than 100.
And how many? You said millions upon millions now. So
there you go.
It's weird because in a way, like we did it, but it doesn't ever feel like you did it, right? And for anybody go ahead.
It just never stops now, you know?
The goalposts keep moving.
For anyone who knows Adam, they know that he can be a bit of a skeptic sometimes. And so the early days, he was a little bit like, I don't know, Paul, Stephanie. I mean, this sounds like, fun. We'll get this going. But are we really going to sell any boxes? And now he's kidding and fulfilling tens, hundreds of thousands a day sometimes. So.
Yeah, to set the table for everybody, really truly was, we started in an office. Well, I guess technically we started in a San Francisco apartment, then we're in our parents' basement, and then we got an office much like this because it doesn't have a restroom in it. And it was myself, Stephanie, Adam, and Kate. And it was us 4. And I believe that our jobs were, and I think, Adam, to set the table too, on the other side, like we have subscription box owners, founders, people that are on the edge, people that are going to want to, do it, people that probably run parts of subscription boxes. And, to me, I think it's really important to share, what it's like to do things, to share like, oh, this is the software we used. Oh, this is what we had at that time. This is what we have now. We launched on Shopify, then we moved to Magento, then we went back to Shopify, right? Just to give you a little bit of context, and we shoot the live stream as raw as we can, and then we're going to take it and give it to Grindstone Media, and they're going to chop it up and actually make things presentable. And then Mariah is going to slice and dice it some more, and then we get content and marketing, and it magically works. Ta-da! So,
do they make my face thinner? Is that possible?
You're beautiful
on this
the
live
way that
stream?
you are. You're beautiful the way that you are, Adam.
Perfect. Thank you.
So let's go back to day one, just for a minute.
Just for a minute, and then let's get to the good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't think it gets any better than that, but I think that's always important, whether it's an interview or whatever it is. So day one, Adam, you left out my favorite story, how I got you drunk and got you to join the company. Funny how all that stuff is.
Where this media was used. So there's certain.
Yeah, well, it's on the internet, and since the pandemic, I feel like I truly have lost all fucks. So no more to give.
Got it. Day one, I don't remember what we shipped the first month, but it was in the hundreds, I think, if I remember right, that we packed in.
I remember.
Yeah, that packed in your parents' in your basement with 20 friends.
There was honey sticks, I think.
Over a 4-hour period, if I remember right. And today, if we took 20 of my employees and had to pack boxes for 4 hours, there are times we'd pack 10,000, which is entertaining.
We literally had the Nebraska Department of Economic Development in our basement helping us pack.
Hey, we bought them pizza and beer, or somebody did. It probably
that's
wasn't
what
us.
we did.
We didn't have any money. The first month was like what you would be shipping if you were selling something on eBay. One at a time.
Yep.
Addresses, kind of behind the scenes. That slowly crept up to a number, let's say that we were doing 5,000, and then we had to kind of automate a few of those things, getting data from one place to the other, and then eventually got to 10 and 50,000 at a time, and there's some milestones there where you're like, oh, we implemented technology, and there's times when you implement, we would consider
alcohol.
That, but assets in general, but like,
we got a comment.
Faster printers was the thing that got us. I remember we started using a printer just like a label printer, like anybody would use. It prints one label every 3 seconds, and if you do that, trying to print 50,000 labels, you can do the math and realize that it takes a really long time.
Yeah.
Yep.
My favorite day of Bulu ever, which I try not to tell people, was the day that we got a fast printer and I could actually sleep on label printing day, because it would print like 2 labels a second, and so it was 6 times faster. And now we have, I don't know, 20 of those.
Oh, do we have 20? I was gonna say 6. It makes me feel so out of touch that I don't know that we have 20.
I get nervous.
Yeah.
I get nervous when I see our warehouse. I'm like, oh God, this is so
Well,
many people and so much responsibility.
Yeah, I do know there's an entire room of printers, and that just keeps like feeding labels out.
Daily label printing room, and we have a like bulk shipment printing room.
Yeah. The slow hum of the label printer.
As of
put you to sleep.
We needed to. We could print. I don't think quite 1 million labels in a 24-hour period, but close.
I think we had an inkjet 860 when we started.
Yeah.
We did.
I don't even know if we have. We did. It's like we did, and we had bottles like that for the restroom as well. So we had it down. So look at that. We got Steezy. What up, Steezy? Oh man, we got all sorts of people that are joining here. So it's 4 p.m. in the Bulu world. So Friday, it's gonna happen. So Bailey Rogers had a comment that says, "I know him." How do you know this Bailey Rogers character?
Bailey is my wife.
Where did you meet her?
At Bulu. And
what was her first job?
She was an intern.
Oh! So like the president married the intern. Okay, cool. Let's move on from that. Hey.
You're going to get HR wags. You're definitely going to get a so. I get it, there's things that you don't tell.
Someday there's going to be a movie made about you two.
Yeah,
a rom-com.
Bailey's the best. We love Adam and Bailey. They're great. And Lil Rowan. So Adam's old baby girl. So you two geeks want to talk about some actual, like something of substance for our listeners, where I just like to watch Adam sweat when I bring up certain topics. So what are some of the things that, do you have an old school Bulu Box shirt on? Could I see that really quick? Oh, it's Bulu? Okay.
I remembered, that I should probably wear something that wasn't a Superman t-shirt or something, but,
Yeah. And we for folks that don't know, we originally started, we were about the 6th subscription box. It's called Bulu Box. For $10 a month, people would get 4 to 5 premium vitamins, supplement, healthy snack samples. And then we really pivoted essentially into doing boxes for other folks. And now we really focus on the fulfillment and logistics for subscription boxes, because the industry just blew up, and we got quite a bit of knowledge. That might be an understatement. I think, Adam's expertise is one of the reasons, if not, one of the main reasons why we're able to succeed in this area. And I do remember, like, after a couple of years, I was like, damn, like, we're really good at fulfillment. That's Adam. Let's just like do more of that, because we're really strong in that area. So what are some of the things that you two, because I mean, really, Stephanie and Adam are the ones tackling the operations part, the fulfillment part. What are some of the things that you guys wish that you could go back and either tell yourself, or some of the things that, you've discovered that would be really valuable for some of the other subscription box people to be aware of?
Yeah, in regards specifically to like kitting and fulfillment.
I think so. Yeah, that's like that thing that people always kind of put in the back of their mind, and then I think the longer you do it, you realize that it is a foundational, crucial element. And a lot of people learn a couple years in, like, "Oh, I've been losing my ass on this, and I had no idea." So yeah, exactly that.
I think the biggest one that I get asked this question a lot is, when do you go from doing it in your basement to whatever the next step is? And that, some people that might be getting their own warehouse and doing it themselves, and some people that might be hiring, somebody like us. And we didn't have that answer, and we sort of made it up as we went along. And if I had to do it over, it would have probably been slightly different than what it is today. And in each sort of company, depending on what's in their box, has different size requirements. There are people that only sell, subscription boxes or subscriptions that are envelopes. And, you might be able to get more, you might be able to keep 5,000 of those in your house, versus if you're doing a box the size of what Disney was doing, and you might be only keep 12 in your house or something. Yeah. So the number of boxes isn't, or the number of packages isn't really helpful. What I've learned over time is the day that you have to like schedule freight shipments in, or is the day that you should no longer be doing this out of your house or your office or whatever. And I can tell you, month number 4, Paul and I drove to a FedEx facility in a car and unloaded a pallet.
A Prius.
Yeah. Month number 6, we unloaded a truck in downtown Lincoln with rolling chairs and put the stuff on it and then rolled them upstairs. Those could have been the first 2 indications that we were done. That should have been like, okay, it's time to move on, Yeah.
And Adam, I agree with you. And I think the other way I would phrase it too is, honestly, do it yourself as long as you can, even if it means rolling chairs or whatever it is. Man,
I don't know.
Until the opportunity cost of doing that is too high, because it means you're not doing something else that is more into your level of expertise. Yeah. For us, we had Adam. And so we were like, we can keep doing this, and Adam's going to take care of it. But in the early days, it would be like we had a web developer, we had a graphic designer, and we would say every Friday, or like for an entire day out of the month, or sometimes 2 days, it was like, everybody stop what you're doing. It's packing day. Yep. And so what that meant was the opportunity cost of the marketer not doing marketing, the developer not doing developing, customer service not responding to customers, and stopping what they're doing to pack. So I think it's kind of like, once that becomes too cumbersome and it's impeding the rest of your business growth, that's when you're like, okay, we got to move.
And it also depends on what you're capable of as what you're like. If you're starting a company, you're obviously talented in doing something. If you're a marketing guy, and if those 5 hours a week are better spent, doing some sort of marketing tactic, and then you could give it away, even if it does cost more, because it's always going to cost more when you go outside of your own organization, because they have to make a profit as well somewhere along the way.
Yeah.
To use our EOS language, since we're an EOS company, you elevate and delegate to your unique ability. And if your unique ability isn't kitting and fulfillment, then don't continue doing it forever. Delegate it to someone else, because by doing so, you're elevating yourself and your team to your unique ability. So if your like strength is branding and marketing, then focus on that.
Yeah.
But if your strength is kitting and fulfillment, by all means, keep doing it yourself.
Yeah.
That's what happened to us.
I have this conversation a lot with entrepreneurs, and to your point, it's like, everybody's always like, when do you know you're scaling, or when do you know, you should hire a 3PL or whatever it is, right? And I love when there is a tangible thing, which if you could say what you said again, Adam, I think that was really valuable about like the trucks. Like when did you know that it was time to outsource?
It's, when for us specifically for Bulu, it was when an LTL, which means like a 53-foot semi was showing up at your parents' house. Hey, I have this for you. We don't have a dock, we don't have a forklift, we don't have a pallet jack. None of those things existed in our world where, if you get 500 stickers and you need to ship them, that's fine. But if you get 500 5-pound containers of protein that you're trying to get, so that's when so it depends on your size of the product too, right? That's the point whenever the light bulb should be, it's too much. And then the second part of what I was going to say was if you get to a point where you dread it, you get to like, I don't want to do this.
Wait another 6 months and then don't. Wait another 2 years and then don't.
And it's all cash flow based. I mean, most of them are small companies to start with. So as you grow, you kind of have to deal with it. But at some point, it doesn't need to feel like a job if you're owning the company. So.
And I think that, the same way with, sales, everybody's like, when do you know you're scaling? And I tell people, when you stop trying to convince yourself that you're scaling and the thoughts that pop up in your mind are like, oh shit, we need like a new fulfillment software that does what we need it to do. Where are we going to find help in more project managers, right? That's like, I love giving those like specific answers. Not that they're correct for everybody, but it just is a different way to think about it. And I would come back and challenge both of you and say that, I think that I think you're both correct in your comments, but I also think there's maybe a step back for people need to understand like, what is their goal, right? Do they want to create something to make money right away? Do they want to create a bunch of users that, they use in a different way? Right? Do you want to just raise capital and lose money, or, frankly, lose money like Amazon did for, a decade or whatever it was? Do you want to just have a side hustle? Do you want to create something? So I think a lot of people, they get in their heads, and we see this all the time with our partners. It's like, well, we want to grow this fast, we want to be profitable, and we want to introduce new products. And it's like all of this stuff. And you're like, okay, that's 5 different things. Let's like focus on one in the beginning, right? And then you push your partners and they go like, oh, well, actually, we just want to get Instagram hearts because that equates to sales. So I agree with what both of you are saying. And I think for most subscription box founders, that is the goal, is like we need to be profitable or determine a path to profitability, which is incredibly hard. But also there are some listeners out there where, I think you really need to take a step back and like figure out like, why are you doing what you're doing? Also, to take a step back, there is a question from, it looks like a stock image, and it says, who was the box pack race champion? That's definitely a stock photo. It looks like a Taylor Lautner stock photo.
Oh, wow. That's just mean. So I don't know, but I do believe that Paul lost that on quality a few times, if I remember right.
I don't think
our listeners, can you explain what the box packing race was?
So in the early days when we packed in,
we should do this again. By the way, we keep saying early days, and I'm feeling like we should do this again.
In Paul and Stephanie's apartment, which was also the office, which was also the packing. One bedroom of the apartment was a packing area.
Yep.
Except on days we didn't need it, and then sometimes also used as a place to take phone calls. we would take when we were packing on Fridays, usually Fridays, we would test boxes out, and we would have people or teams of people pack them and then ship them. Well, we wouldn't ship them. We would throw them up against the wall to make sure that because we tape them, and today most subscription boxes aren't taped. And that's something we learned, very early on. Like, oh, hey, we need to.
These boxes are cutting me.
make it where we don't have to do so many little pieces. But as each individual employee would race down and put their 5 to 7 items in, and then tape it, and then throw it up against the wall to see if it broke open. If it broke open, you were disqualified. So Paul may have lost a time or two.
Yeah, I'm not winning with these bear paws. I'm not winning a box. Yeah, definitely not.
And Taylor Lautner, who worked for Bulu for a long time, has won a time or two. He has very soft hands, for those of you that don't know. So he
creepily long, skinny finger long. Yeah.
So it came with 0 award, and basically
just bragging rights.
Smaller toddler.
Yeah, there you go. So that's kind of how we tested whether or not we thought things would ship okay. Was throw it down the stairs or whatever.
And it was a fun bonding activity.
Mail it to Uncle Dole.
Yeah, so we still do those test shipments randomly to people.
Yep. Throw it in the microwave. Throw it in the freezer.
I forget to tell people that I had somebody send them something, and then they get a surprise. So it does happen. It is okay.
Marcus wants to know, why do you want to hurt him? Do you really want to hurt him?
No, Marcus is a great human being, and we should all be proud that we get to know him.
Somebody get a screenshot of this shit right here. It's like, with no context, this is like the best fucking screenshot ever.
Why do you want to hurt me?
Marcus was the best man in my wedding because he had no other plans that weekend. So I'm allowed to say a few things.
Yeah. So for anybody watching being really confused right now, we have a lot of it looks like we call them teammates, employees. It feels weird. I still don't feel comfortable calling myself an entrepreneur or a CEO or an employee. But yeah, another question we have from somebody that we have no idea who this Nicole Bauer is. But Adam, what is your unique ability? And then we'll get back to some of the technical software things. But this is kind of fun taking questions.
My unique ability is taking complex problems and making the fastest decision possible and going with it.
Yep. I was going to call you the MacGyver of fulfillment.
Yeah, I kind of think my skill set has honed into literally making split-second decisions that probably don't matter to anybody except the people on this team, and moving. And
all the millions of customers that get their boxes on time, but no pressure.
No pressure. That would be my unique ability. I don't think it's unique, but that would be the ability that I have above most people. And most of the time it's right.
That's accurate.
Yep. I think that's one of the many, many abilities that you possess. And we're super grateful that you're on the team and you picked us. And I was also thinking of course, some of the operations thing that Stephanie and Adam talked about are easy to do when you luck out and you get a Stephanie and Adam on your team. Most people don't get that, right? And, over time, you either foster the talent or you get lucky and what do they call that? Bat above your average or whatever that is. And I think with both of you, to this day, I mean, this shit just wouldn't work without you too. So, if there's a unique ability for me, it's like spotting adding the talent and getting the hell out of the way.
Yeah, that's good.
So, that's what is it? Find talented people and get the hell out of the way. What's her name said that?
That was in Tina Fey's book.
Tina Fey's book. Yeah, something about hands or bossy pants.
Bossy Pants.
Hands, pants, whatever.
I'm thinking of the cover.
Why don't I'm kind of admittedly, I know enough about operations to answer like come to the simple questions, but I feel like you can tee him up for some good hard ones.
Adam.
Yes.
At Bulu's Warehouse, we focus primarily on kitting for subscription boxes, although we do all sorts of fulfillment.
Sylvia.
So, for subscription box owners, what are the biggest challenges you've seen that make the kitting process more difficult and usually, therefore, more costly or time consuming? And how could they be avoided?
The biggest one is, does it fit?
It seems so elementary, but yes.
I told you guys in the beginning, make that box half an inch taller.
Because almost everybody sooner or later wants to put something in a box, or and they have one. You buy a custom box, so you have custom dies that you paid for. Mm-hmm. You have significant costs in making a bigger box.
Yep.
Also, a recommendation of mine would always be go with a stock box until because there's no reason anymore to. I mean, you can put a sticker on it. You can, what the Loot Crate guys say, you can stamp them. There's people do those sorts of things, and there's a good reason for it because month one you might need a 3-inch tall box, and in month 2 you might need a 5-inch tall box, and cardboard is expensive. So, that would be number one. Number 2 is, we live in Nebraska, so if you want to ship something that is possible to freeze, don't ship it in January.
In a what was that thing called? A blizzard, thunder blizzard?
Yeah,
lightning blizzard. What was that thing called that we had?
I don't even know.
No, it was like legitimately called.
Is it Sharknado?
What is it? Thunder snow. Jeez, what the hell?
I still don't know what it is.
Don't ship plants in thunder snow.
So there's some kind of you think about it as common sense, because if you were going to ship something to somebody in your family, you wouldn't ship them something that was going to break open. But whenever you're running a company, I don't think your mind just goes, oh, here, I need this stuff, ship it on out the door, and you don't think about those things. I think that shipping chocolate in July, there's a lot of those things that have happened to us over time that you look back on and go, well, that was stupid. And I'm sure it has happened.
Also, the chocolate in July was like month 2, and some of the other stuff, we didn't have control over. So, but I agree with you. It's like you can't beat Mother Nature, right?
And then I would also go, I'm all for making something look as pretty as possible, but have some expectation that between when it leaves your building and when it leaves your house or your 3PL or whoever, and when it gets to the customer, it's just not going to look the same. You want to make it look as nice as possible, but after traveling through, hundreds of thousands of feet of conveyor belt on a UPS assembly line or a UPS through
distribution centers,
through distribution centers along the way. It just doesn't look the same. It gets dropped. It gets whatever. I actually at Nebraska Book I had an incident where we had about $40,000 worth of books in that a line caught on fire at a USPS distribution center and or a regional center, and they burn them all up. So they had to pay us $40,000 for not a lot of packages because they were expensive.
Score.
But yeah, so we got our money anyway. But
full retail, baby.
Yeah, you got to think that things like that, every bad thing that could happen is probably going to happen eventually. And you also, the more boxes you ship, the more in the beginning, we used to think, oh, well, that's weird. And then now over time, it's like, oh, we shipped 10 million of these and, 10,000 of something broke. And you're like, man, that's about right.
Exactly.
Expect some bad things to happen along the way to your boxes,
I think that brings up a good point, and I know in one of our other shows we talked to Mariah about, you have to expect a certain percentage of customers, no matter what, are always going to email and say, "Where's my box at?" Right?
Yeah.
And to your point, there's a certain percentage of no matter what you do, the FedEx guy is going to sit on it accidentally. I shouldn't say that because that doesn't really happen. What was something weird that happened? Oil, or as Adam would say, oil, dripped on a box, and we were trying to figure it out, and we figured out it was in the truck, was dripping some sort of, oil or something on it. Other packages are packed with it, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a really good point, and having, whether it's a partner or somebody with the knowledge that just says, like, it is, the nature of the industry that X% is going to be an issue, because a lot of folks that do this have no direct to consumer experience, right? They might have B2B or retail or whatever experience, and they don't have experience like, oh man, I'm going to go back to it, like seeing the sausage made, right? Like they're like, oh my gosh, there's so much blood. And you're like, yeah, that's part of what happens here, right? So I think those are all really good points. We have a few questions from our
I just wanted to
audience.
comment real quick on just to expand on one of the things, Adam, you said, which was, about the contents of the box, and I just emphasizing how much that matters and can impact your bottom line is like a really big issue that I think
2
some
pounds
people,
or less,
definitely like the end consumer wouldn't even think twice about. But determining the exact products, and if you're like, you sourced everything and it arrived at our warehouse, and then you're like, oh, actually individually these things fit in the box, but together all 8 of these things don't fit in the box. What are we going to do now? And these are supposed to ship next week, right?
Call Adam.
Yeah, all those sorts of things. And then even thinking through, every single ounce, because, the dimensional weight versus the actual weight, all of that matters to your budget, because you've budgeted to ship a 3-pound box. And suddenly you procured, item X instead of item Y, and you're 2 ounces over, and now your budget is blown for that month.
You're fucked.
So, yeah, Adam, that was a really good kind of point to bring up, that thoughtfully thinking through every single component inside the box all matters to the kitting, fulfillment, and shipping.
From doing fulfillment for other partners, that things that don't fit in the box, I can give examples of things that don't fit in the box that cost us more than double what it would cost if you take that item out and put something that fits.
Mm-hmm.
So whether, and if it costs us that much more, and we're pretty talented at this, it definitely costs the person sitting at home the extra time to do it.
Yeah.
I was going to say a few things that, some of the people running subscription boxes, I think it's valuable to hear is, it's a delicate balance of striking. You want the box to look full, like there's a ton of product in it, but you also, need to be able to fit everything into the box, right? And the size matters, but I think that, go.
I was waiting for you to chuckle at your own.
I wasn't going to, but I heard
words.
the nose breaths over there. But I think, oh boy, here we go. People think size matters, but it's more about, does it, when you open it, are the products, is it full? Are they kind of bursting out the seam? So if you have like a 3-foot long box, oh my God, I can't now not think of this stuff.
What are you doing? Abandon.
If you have eject. So if you have a large box, like you might be like, oh, that's cool. Look at that huge box, and you can do all this shit with it. And then somebody opens it up and it feels a little barren. You're like, oh. Whereas if you bring that down and there's more products coming out of it, that's where the customer And the data supports, like, that's where they're like, oh, there's a lot of value. And that's something so small, but it's important. Another thing is, get your box under 2 pounds. I think that's still the number. You'll save a lot if you can.
Or just get it into whatever your budget is, right?
Yep. Better point. Yeah.
Which means you just got to pay close attention to the final mix of items.
Also, the items that are coming to you, Adam, I remember when we had with that pallet at my parents' house that was glass bottles inside of a package, inside of a package, inside of a package, inside of a package. And it was just like never ending. It was like Russian dolls going into it. Pick up the damn phone and call these companies and say, like, look, can you put these all in a Gaylord, right? Can you shrink that packaging down? Because that's a lot of time and effort to, break into those boxes. And I think so many times new founders or whoever, they just assume like, oh, well, it just is what it is. And let me tell you, between the time you secure the product to you get it, there's not going to be anybody, unless it's you, picking up the phone and saying like, hey, do we actually need to put that inside of that package and shrink wrap it and put it inside of cases? And that's nothing more than a phone call. And those little things, they might not seem like a big deal, but goddamn, just like everything, they add up.
Yeah.
And it's also not to have to, throw it all in the landfill.
Yeah.
That's Adam, our eco-friendly guy right there.
Okay, my follow-up question, though, Adam, is so I asked, like, what are some of the most unique challenges when it comes to kitting and subscription? And one of the things that came to mind for me, which led to, like, another question I have for you, was when we are fulfilling a subscription box versus a standard e-commerce one-time order, the way that data makes its way to us is not as simple to fulfill because it doesn't come in as a one-time order. Like the SKU is the same SKU, even though the contents of that box change in January, February, March, whatever the box cycle is. So I know we have created some of our own kind of proprietary software to help solve some of those like data issues so that we're fulfilling the correct thing and assigning the right box to the right customer, even though from our partners' websites it's not exactly what it should be. So can you elaborate on some of that and maybe then like share some of the softwares that you would recommend to other subscription box owners to help with kind of their order management system?
The first thing I would say is actually I wrote down 2 things, and the first one was keep box type simple.
What does that mean?
Like it basically means have fewer versions the longer you can, which allows if you have to kind of manipulate things along the way, you will sooner or later fat finger something in, make a mistake or whatever, and send the wrong order to somebody, and that's never good. We have clients that have 100 box types, and they give us like 6. They give us six data points and go, "That's yours to decide." And then we have people that go, "I want this exactly certain ways." We just took on a client in the last month that had 25 different box types that we manipulate into 25 different SKUs, or 25 different SKUs that we manipulate into 25 different of our own kind of pieces of information every month. It's kind of a weird world of how much technology advancement the customer or the subscription box company has to be able to help in that. From a 3PL or a kitting and fulfillment center standpoint, we use a lot of there's a lot of Excel, there's a lot of using database technology stuff to kind of manipulate that data to the way we want to look at it. And the thing that we didn't do in the beginning that we don't even ship a single order out that wouldn't be this way, but making sure that the right information shows up on a label. Like the SKU on the label is a very simple thing to do. And for the first year and a half of Bulu, we didn't do it because I didn't think that was important.
and it was our own boxes, so it was like whatever.
Yeah, so so it's there's not a lot. I don't think there's a lot of technology that we use today that is proprietary or anything outside of like just going, oh, here's reference point A, here's reference point B, making a map of those things every month to make those work and make sure that double check them. That's here's the thing. That is the point where everything else can go really, really wrong.
Right.
You can go from packing 100,000 boxes correctly and then make one mistake in your SKU reference map, and that means that you shipped out 100,000 boxes incorrectly.
Yep.
To somebody, for example, you might have a box where you have a regular box and a weight loss box, and you mix those up, and you ship other person the other box. Whether in our case, the warehouse did everything they were supposed to do. However, the boxes were incorrect just because the data was incorrect. So keep it simple as long as you can. Here's the truth. The more complicated you make that, the number of boxes, the different styles, whatever it may be, the more expensive it is going to be if you do it yourself, if you hire it out, if you pay your neighbor kid to come work in your basement. You may not think about it that way, but there will be more questions. There will
that's a fine balance, because then from a product development perspective, the big trend everyone is talking about is like customers want more control over the contents of their box, which that's an entirely separate...
They're going to have to pay more.
An entirely separate podcast, but it's a balance between that, which, to your point, Adam, inevitably costs more time and money when it comes to the logistics associated with executing that. And when I say that's a whole nother podcast, is I think that's highly debatable, like the right level of customization, because we've been down that path with our partners, and we had this whole initiative to add more customization and more options so that people can really tailor the box and get exactly what they want, exactly on the timeline and the frequency that they want. And we just did that to find out that our retention actually started going down.
I want a button that says the point of diminishing return.
It was kind of what's it? Analysis paralysis. I'm not sure what I want. I don't know. Just abandon. I'm not going to even sign up.
Yeah.
Or so. So I think it's a fine balance between figuring that out and making sure you understand what that means to your bottom line, like Adam said.
I think the thing that I share with a lot of folks in this industry is, it shouldn't be impressive. And when people are like, oh, we collect data for this, we have data for this, and, we have anything you want, who cares? That's been going on for over a decade now. Cool, you can figure out anything you want. The important thing is, what do you want and why do you want it, right? And I think that's something that Adam taught me early on. It's can we do this? Can we do this? And it's well, hell, we can do whatever you want, but why do you want it?
Right.
And my God, the level of dashboards for investors and all of that other stuff.
Don't track it just to track it, right?
Yeah. And you can create and provide that to people. And let me help you out, everybody. What does that do? It creates more things for people to ask more questions about, right? And so, at a baseline, you're going to want to know customer acquisition costs, lifetime value, when do you make your money back on what you spent on those things, retention, cancels. There's a pretty basic amount of things that you want to know. And then based on your box, you got to kind of use your brain and figure out, what matters to you. And I thought, Matthew, that we had on the podcast, formerly of Loot Crate and now of Pinfinity, he had some really good points about what they were going after in 250 core customers. He had a word we want to create a fan. Oh boy, I forget the word already. But it was really important for them to have that fan base because that was the type of customer that they were. So, everybody out there, yes, everybody's got Shopify. Yes, everybody has Google AdWords. Everybody has all the same things. Now, why are you tracking? Like, what do you need to find out? And usually that trickles all, or I guess goes all back up to your goals, right? Like, why are you tracking certain things if that's not even the goal? Like, cool, you track that thing, right? Who cares? So somebody is asking, Miss Nicole Bauer here, this is a great question. And let me just start by saying the amount of jargon in the fulfillment and logistics industry is enough to make a human lose their mind, right? When you hear 5 different terms, I think this morning at 8 a.m., I was like telling Stephanie something. She goes, oh, I think they meant like master cases. And I was like, God damn it. Like it all means the same thing. And so Nicole Bauer's question is, can you define kitting versus pick and pack versus whatever else? So Adam, I want to hear your answer. I know, I got my answer and I'm curious what Stephanie's is.
I would, I'll start with pick and pack. We basically define pick and pack is where we go find one particular item, put it in one particular box, and put a label on it and ship it out the door. This would be how Amazon packs every box that goes out the door for them.
Yep.
And you can do subscription boxes that way. It would be fairly, I wouldn't say dumb, but it would be a fairly dumb thing to do.
Call us when you lose your ass.
Yeah, in a large scale effort. Kitting can be done in a various number of ways, but what basically is what I think of when I think of kitting is how do you efficiently pack the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over. There are people that do them at kitting stations where you might stand at a table and put the same 10 things in a box all day. There are people that run them down an assembly line and your job is to put one thing in the box and you just wait for the next box to come. There are people that do them manually, walk them around, a table and pick things. There's a variety of ways to do it, but basically saying if we're going to make more than X number of these boxes, let's find the most efficient way to do it as we can. Because the thing that you probably don't think about, but the very micro sense of, in sense meaning like pennies, of a transaction in a warehouse job or a warehouse charge adds up in a hurry, over time. So if you're, when you're making 10 boxes, doesn't matter. When you're making 100 boxes, probably doesn't matter. If you're making 14 million over a year and it costs an extra 20 cents because you did it a little less efficient than you should, then you don't get the bonus for the year. Whatever, you know what I mean? It's like
It adds up.
It adds up. When you do the same thing every day, finding the best way to get the most out of it is what I would consider kitting.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be repetitive because I'd just be saying the same thing rearranged differently, but that's it. The only thing I'd add that I think is kind of interesting is that within kitting, there's kind of 2 ways to do that. One is kitting to store, and the second is kitting to ship. And if you're able to kit to ship, it means on the assembly line or in the packing station, you actually have the orders in hand, and so you can put the shipping label on at the time as part of the kitting process so that you can kit to ship right out the door.
Yeah.
If you're kitting to store, that just means one more touch on the product. So you're kitting it into a unit and then you're storing that on the shelf to fulfill later as orders come in. So we try to do as much kitting to ship as we can because that's where it's most efficient.
Yeah. Also, there's super kitting. There is all sorts of things, and is that
like a kit within a kit?
That
a kit?
is
Like kitception?
Yeah, they can. The thing that I've read it defined as like customization within a kit. They call it super kitting, but it's also like on a few websites where it feels like a forced term, right? And which kind of
learn something.
Yeah, well, it goes back to like it's like when I talk to partners or potential people that are going to work with us, like I just like to call a spade and just go like, look, it's a highly commoditized industry, right? And you're generally going to get back like, oh, we charge $1 a box, right? And the devil is in the details, in that like, okay, what are the line items? I mean, we were just looking at one the other day and they were charging like for like walking out to a certain area, walking to the truck, walking here. And I'm like, whoa, shit. Like I haven't seen that detailed down to that level yet. And I tell people that are, you know, whether they're talking to us or whether they're talking to other people. And I think it's a lot because it's like entrepreneurs working with entrepreneurs. That's like a lot of what our work is. I tell people like, look, you know, you got distribution centers, you got D2C, you got B2B, you got D2B, you got all these different categories. And a lot of companies were born in this pick and pack or wholesale or retail, or they're a distribution center. And there's a lot of people, especially since the pandemic, that are like rushing to different areas because they see opportunity. And here's where the problem is. All of those warehouse physical like things were set up for a totally different category. Like what the hell is somebody doing that was set up to like ship huge boxes to Walmart? All of a sudden they're like, oh, we're going to do subscription boxes. I'm like, no, you aren't, you dummy. Like, what are you doing, right? Like, how are you going to change all of your software, all of your process, you know, et cetera? And so I really encourage people, I say like, you know, and we turn people away like all the time because we're like, oh, that's not what we do. Like, I would love to work with you, but like, that's not, you know, exactly what we do. And now you see this kind of like flood of, you know, frankly, what we've been doing for years, subscription box fulfillment, which probably a year or 2 years ago, it was just called kitting, right? But, you know, now the term is subscription box fulfillment, which is basically kitting on a repeat basis or super kitting on a repeat basis. And so I tell people like, look for partners that have experience putting multiple varied items together as one and shipping on a repeat basis. And when you find people that have software and process and physical like equipment set up for that, that's the pricing that you want to get. And you take that pricing and you compare it to other people. Yep. And I get fired up about it because it kills me to see like entrepreneurs and other people like think they got a good price, right? And look, like we aren't the cheapest. Like there's fits for everybody, but it kills me to see people, you know, get kind of bait and switched with pricing, especially when it's an entrepreneur trying to like figure out how to grow, and they're like. You're like, oh, yo, you're getting screwed on like pallet storage. Like you need to check that out. So yeah, I'll get off my soapbox, but it stings to see because like people like us three, we were there from the beginning and we got burnt so many times. I mean, how many 3PLs did you go through, Adam?
That we actually used, or how that we
in the beginning. In the beginning, like how many did we go through before we're like, screw it, put Adam in charge?
We used 3 different places that ended up, you know, and I honestly think I've probably quoted out our original subscription box more than 100 times.
Yeah. And you put one out of business because we gave them too much work pretty much, right? But we won't talk about that.
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
Hey, we made it mutual and it worked.
There you go.
Okay.
So, all right. Well, Adam, sincerely, we thank you for everything that you've done and continue to do. Super lucky to have you on. You know, you're a huge part of this company, and we wouldn't be here without you. And look forward to seeing you on the Asanas and on the Slacks and on all the other stuff that we have.
You sounded like an old man there. I just want you to know.
Yeah. Don't get me started on Slack. Don't get me started on Slack. Yeah, I got to steer away from those things. I just figured out how to use Snapchat, which the kids call Snap. So
that's like my grandma used to say, "I'm going to Walmart's, not Walmart, Mart's."
I mean, she's not wrong. They are plural, so. I'm a Redditor, man. I'll see you on the Reddits, yo. I'll see you on the subs. Awesome. Well, thank you, Adam Choate. Boy, I feel like a title would do a disservice to you, so I'll just say somebody that I consider one of the founding members and key crucial players of the company. And I look forward to conning you on to another episode and pulling information out of you. I think I've learned more from you here because we have a minute to talk versus when we're all going 100 miles an hour. So
yeah, that's good. Good stuff. And I'll see you on the next box packing tournament.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Adam.
Peace, dude. My Lord, I think I learned more in that last segment in the last couple weeks. Watching you two talk about a few things, I'm like, oh man. And if you watch the episode, I kind of step back, the camera focuses on you, and I'm thinking, I don't know any of this stuff anymore.
We barely skinned the surface too. Like there's so much more we could have talked about.
There's like so much stuff. I think naturally from day one, I was like, man, I don't want to get into that world because I never thought that we were going to do it as much as we do, right?
Yeah.
And so you guys just learned everything from the ground up. Why I'm like, how do we get customers? How do we get funding? And so it's interesting to see the different paths that we all took. And, you know, to your credit, you're kind of the glue that held it all together. But, you know, that's like having Adam interview me about raising capital, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So he would be like, I don't know, there's like a term sheet and you got to kiss a lot of ass, something like that. So, no, that was cool to, I mean, I meant what I said in the podcast, if it made the cut of like, you know, it feels a little bit like full circle, and it's crazy when you stop and think, you're like, whoa, we did a lot of what we said that we were going to do. But unfortunately, there's two co-founders and a lot of our team that are just going to push the goalpost further and further, right? And
yeah.
I think like the next goals that we have in 2021 are like equally as exciting, but like, goddamn, like we started at zero.
Yeah.
We started out like me going to the post office going like, how much does this cost? And, you know, knocking on the like, you know, the IKEA bags.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. I think you're referring to hauling shipments to like the post office or UPS in IKEA bags. Yeah. Those were the early days.
One thing that we didn't mention, and like a big pro tip for a lot of subscription box founders out there, use pity. That works a lot. You just go to the post office, you're like, I'm sorry, help me. What do we say? Help me, I'm poor. I think we need to get one of those from you.
That's the Kristen Wiig thing,
yes. Are you going to do it or not? The help me, I'm poor. I know Steezy
You're
and Bailey and
confusing
Mariah.
her skits. Help me, I'm poor.
Can you do them both for us, please?
Help me, I'm poor is from Bridesmaids when she's on the plane.
Mm-hmm.
You're thinking of the Tiny Hands skit from SNL.
Can you do an imitation of both?
That's Dunice. No.
Okay.
I won't.
All right.
Good try.
We're gonna edit it and we're gonna make you do it. So no, that was awesome. It's always great to, you know, in the midst of all the chaos and excitement and challenges and everything, like, man, it's something that I feel like we need to do more. And that's maybe my biggest takeaway from that episode is like, you know, we used to always say like, enjoy the tunnel and stop and, you know, recognize what you've done. And that was, honestly, for me, it was hard to focus and concentrate on what we were talking about because I was like, I just kept going like, damn, we did a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
We have so much more to do, but like, damn, we started at zero. So that was cool for me. So any parting thoughts?
No, I'm glad we had Adam on. I'm looking forward to continuing to bring on some of the people from Bulu that have some good knowledge to share.
Who do you want to bring on next from Bulu? Not that it'll be the next episode, but who are you thinking about? Or maybe we have Adam tag somebody.
Oh, that's interesting.
Tim, obviously.
It's kind of like a challenge, right?
Yeah, Tim,
well, I was going to
obviously.
say either Hank and maybe Carissa, who was on our team and now has moved on to another endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
But between the two of them, talking a little bit about financial modeling and how important that is to subscription boxes and nuances of a subscription. Paul and numbers. I think it's interesting.
So I went to
I'd say either that one or maybe Marcus to talk about product development and how you create a really good box experience for
this is
customers month over month and the relentless nature of that.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to watch the differences of how we do this, because I was like, let's get Tim on because he will hate it.
Tim.
And it will be so cringy awesome to watch him just like, oh God, get me out of here. And then I thought Sylvia will be so fun and interesting and fascinating. And she'll say things like, well, yeah, you fired me. And I'm like, oh. And then you can watch me sink in my chair and be like, I don't know what to say to that. And then I thought Marcus and Michael together as one. And we just wind them up and let them go.
Oh, geez. Yep.
So, and then I feel like
all good options.
Yeah, and then I feel like we have to like do a series with Hank of like financial modeling and like bring in more of his like his opinion on business as a whole. So I'm excited to bring in more Bulu people. But Adam, you're a badass. We appreciate you, and I think there was a ton in that episode. So let's shut the fuck up and get going. Let's get packing. Thank you. This has been another episode of Box Talks by Bulu. My name is Paul Jarrett. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Bulu.
And I'm Stephanie Jarrett.
Hey, if you want us to do some fulfillment for you at a good cost and, fill in the blank for whatever benefit, call to action, USB, give us a ring. We'll see if it matches up with what we have. And we'll go from there. Check us out at bulugroup.com.